So I'm back in the dining room now, but this is still the iPad, so it's still going to be a bit shaky because I'm holding it in my hand. So here is my last video on the Pickwick Papers, and I'm just going to talk today about Sam Weller, who's basically the only thing that makes the book readable. Sam Weller becomes Mr. Pickwick's servant, his personal manservant. However, we first see him at a coaching inn when Pickwick and Mr. Wardle are chasing Wardle's spinster sister, who Alfred Jingle has run away with. Anyway, Sam Weller is a bootblack, or he's kind of keeps up at the inn. And what he's known for, he's very clever. He's the cleverest of all the characters, other than possibly Dodson and Fogg. And he's very lively. He's good, but he's young. He's brash. And what he's really known for are his Wellerisms, and I have some down here. So out with it, as the father said to his child when he swallowed a farthing. And I'm not doing it to sound like Sam Weller. I can't do, I'm not an actor. Okay, very glad to see you indeed, and hope our acquaintance will be a long one, as the gentleman said to the £5 note. Let's see. There, now we look all compact and comfortable, as the father said when he cut his little boy's head off to cure him of squinting. Let's see. Sorry to do anything as may cause an interruption to such very pleasant proceedings, as the king said when he dissolved the parliament. So the idea of a Wellerism is something that's a regular proverb, but what makes it humorous is who says it, which puts a different interpretation on what the words he just said before. And it's a very funny conceit, as it were. Now, what's interesting, of course, is Sam Weller was intended only as one of those throwaway characters. And given the episodic nature of the Pickwick Papers, really weren't expecting to have him back. The thing is, because Dickens produced this serially, and it didn't happen only in this novel, but when he didn't really have much of a coherent plan, it made it much easier for him to change who showed up and when. So he got such good response from the audience with regards to Sam Weller, he brought him back as Mr. Pickwick's servant. So why does Sam Weller actually make the book readable? I mean, yeah, it drives a plot element. I don't know how much Sam really drove the plot, though. But what the problem is, are the Pickwickians aren't really much interesting characters. All four of them are made to look fools, and they are fools in certain ways. Mr. Pickwick is a very good man. Sometimes he gets a bit too inebriated, and he has a hot temper. But he's a little too good, and this is the problem with all of Dickens' good characters. And we'll see this time and again. A lot of the good characters are insufferable. They're insipid. They're not as interesting as Dickens seems to think them to be. So if it were just Mr. Pickwick and his idiot friends who are naive, having this bit of city cleverness, so their city foolishness going into the country, they don't understand people enough, and they're also humbugs, as mentioned earlier. Sam Weller is no humbug. He's nothing more than what he represents himself to be. He's pretty well clear of what he knows and what he doesn't know. And he is very sharp. He is the only one who basically goes head-to-head against Dodson and Fogg. So when he's called into court, he keeps turning the answers around against not Mrs. Bardell per se, but Dodson and Fogg. And it's a very funny scene. Without Sam Weller, the whole thing would have fallen flat. And my understanding is that with the publication of Pickwick Papers, while it was coming out, people were publishing all sorts, and they were not licensed or approved or whatever, Sam Weller joke books and little plays and all sorts of things. He's a very popular character. Think of Falstaff in the history plays, and he got his own spin-off with the Merry Wives of Windsor with Shakespeare. Sometimes you have a character that gets away from you, and that will happen to Dickens time and again, but he gets a little better at controlling that in later books. So that's it for the month of Pickwick, which is January, and in February we'll be looking at Nicholas Nickleby.